Hello everyone, and welcome to Rovo, Bots and Brains, the Atlassian AI deep dive session. I'm Tansu, and I lead the cloud transformation practice for EMEA region here at Valiantys. I will be your main host today. And while it's heating up outside across Europe, we promise this session will bring the right kind of heat, fresh insights, strategic updates, and a deeper look into what's next with Atlassian AI. I'm joined by Grégory and Joshua. I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grégory Goubert. I'm from Atlassian. I work as a partner solution architect, meaning I help my partner like Valiantys to build solution and go to market with the innovation we present every year at different events. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
And I'm Joshua Demetri. I'm a principal solutions architect at Valiantys. I spend a lot of time with our customers designing and building solutions that include AI and Rovo and cloud technologies with Atlassian.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Joshua. Okay, I am really excited to have all of you here today. Whether you are just getting started with Atlassian AI or already exploring how to scale it across your teams. Here's a quick look at what we will cover today. We will start with the bigger picture, the current state of AI. What is hype? What is real? And what is driving real change in organizations? Then we will go under the hood of Atlassian Intelligence and Rovo to understand what makes it different. We will look at real-world use cases, how teams are already putting this into practice to save time, reduce manual work, and move faster. Of course, we will also talk about security, data privacy, and what it really means to trust AI tools at scale. Finally, we will share a framework to help you move from ideas to actual implementation, strategically and confidently. And we will wrap things up with some time for your questions, so feel free to write them down as we go. So, the state of AI today. Let's face it, AI is no longer just for data scientists or early adopters. It is now part of almost every modern tool. If you've used Google Docs, Jira, Microsoft Teams, or even your email in the past week, the chances are you have already interacted with AI, maybe without even realizing it. It's writing meeting summaries, generating help articles, drafting emails. It's in the foreground and background, quietly accelerating what we do. And what is really striking is how quickly all this has become normal. Just 2 years ago, this was still experimental. Now, it is expected. It's embedded in how we work. And the pace hasn't slowed. If anything, it's accelerating. We've got new models and tools emerging almost weekly. OpenAI, Google's Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Meta's Llama, Mistral, Cloud, you name it. Every tech giant is racing to improve speeds, multimodality, and user experience. And that's pushing all of us to rethink how we work. But here is the important part. Most of what we have seen so far has been AI working at individual level, helping a person write faster, summarize content, or answer questions. That's great, but what's really interesting is what comes next. We are shifting from AI that suggests to AI that acts, from helpful nudges to full-on delegation. That's where AI agents come in, and that is big. So, what exactly are AI agents? You can think them of as virtual teammates, not just tools that answer your questions or write a paragraph of text, but systems that actually do the work. And I don't just mean scheduling a meeting or sending a canned reply. I mean handling multi-step workflows, making decisions based on context, pulling information, and even escalating when needed. These agents are built with purpose. They are not general chatbots. They are designed to perform structured, repeatable tasks that normally take up hours of someone's week. For example, an agent that monitors incoming support requests and routes them based on urgency, language, or customer tier. An agent that assembles a project status update, pulling information from Jira issues, Confluence pages, and Slack threads. These aren't futuristic ideas. They are happening right now. And the difference is huge. Instead of using AI to help an individual write faster or search smarter, you can now use it to scale execution across entire teams. That's what changes the game. You move from productivity tools to intelligent systems that reduce manual load, close loops automatically, and free your people to focus on work that actually matters. And yes, this isn't just theory or marketing slides. In just a moment, you will see how organizations are already making this real using Rovo agents in the Atlassian ecosystem. Now, let's be honest, this is all sounds exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. We are all hearing a lot about AI from vendors, media, even internal stakeholders, and it can start to feel like a race to adopt, a race to experiment, and sometimes a race with no clear finish line. But behind all the noise, there is a real need for clarity. The companies that we work with aren't just asking what's new. They are asking what is useful, what is trustworthy, and what is sustainable over time. It is easy to get caught up chasing the latest model or tool, but what really matters is whether these solutions solve real problems and whether they fit the way your teams already work. So today, we are not here to add more hype. We are here to talk about strategy, structure, value, and how tools like Atlassian Intelligence and Rovo can help you move from experimenting to scaling with confidence. Okay, we have talked about the rapid evaluation of AI and shift to AI agents. This is where Atlassian's approach really stands out. Atlassian Intelligence and Rovo aren't just features. They are part of a much bigger shift in how we work. So let's go behind the scenes and see what makes this ecosystem so powerful. Rovo isn't just a smart assistant. It is a key part of Atlassian's system of work. This approach connects your tools, teams, and knowledge into a unified experience, making collaboration smoother and more effective. At the heart of this system is the teamwork graph, which links information across your Atlassian tools and other apps you use. This means Rovo understands how work fits together. It knows that a project involves a team, a goal aligns with a roadmap, and a request might be tied to a specific page or ticket. With Rovo, you don't have to waste time searching through different tools or tabs. It brings you the right information from the right place exactly when you need it. And Rovo works with your current setup. No need to replace anything. Just enable it and you are ready to go. Rovo is built around 3 powerful verbs: search, learn, and act. First, it searches across all your tools and helps you instantly find what you need. Whether it's a Jira ticket, a Confluence page, or even a document buried in SharePoint. No more jumping between tabs or searching tool by tool. It brings all your knowledge together in one place. Rovo doesn't just search, it actually understands. Thanks to the teamwork graph, it learns how your teams work, the language they use, the connection between projects, people, and tools. So instead of just matching keywords, it surfaces what's actually relevant, even when you are dealing with internal jargon or acronyms. And finally, it acts. With built-in and custom Rovo agents, you can automate tasks, trigger workflows, suggest next steps, or surface insights, all based on how your teams work. Whether it's generating a report, routing a ticket, or drafting a response, Rovo goes beyond suggestions and gets things moving. So in short, Rovo helps you stop digging for info and start making progress. And the best part, you don't need a separate license or an extra integration to get started. Rovo is already included in every Atlassian Cloud plan across Jira, Confluence, and more. This isn't some premium-only AI tool. It is democratized. Whether you're a team of 50 or 5,000, you have access to the same power. And this is where Rovo really starts to show its range. We often hear, yeah, AI sounds great, but what can it actually do for my team? Well, here's just a few examples. HR can automate onboarding and answer FAQs. IT can triage tickets faster with smart routing. Ops teams can generate reports in real time. Marketing can summarize campaign results and trends instantly. And you can create custom agents too, tailored to the way your team works using your data and your processes. Okay, let's end this section with what really matters: impact. We are seeing users save 1 to 2 hours a week, not just because of automation, but because of focus. When Rovo handles the busy work, your team can concentrate on what actually moves the needle. And because it's flexible, Rovo can adapt to your team's style, not the other way around. It is not about replacing people. It is about removing friction and giving people more space to do their best work. So we have talked about Rovo, what Rovo is, what it can do, and why it matters. Now it is time to see it in action. Joshua is going to walk us through a live demo to show how Rovo actually works, how it fits into your daily tools, and how those Rovo agents can really lighten the load. As you are watching, keep this in mind. This isn't a proof of concept. This is live. This is available and already helping teams to get real results. All right, Josh, over to you.
All right, thanks for that intro, Tansu. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen showing here so that we can talk through a couple demos. What I really wanted to do is talk you through some of the real things that we're implementing in customer systems and using in production as a way for AI to enhance workflows. And I'm going to start from kind of a more basic, more approachable solution, and then go from there to some of the more complex use cases that we've integrated for clients already today. So starting from kind of the most simple to approach way to utilize Rovo and AI in, let's say, a Confluence space, or just in Confluence in general, is going to be taking a knowledge base like Confluence and wanting to create agents on top of it or kind of chat bots on top of it to understand some context from it. So like Tansu talked about before, using it for HR to answer some FAQs or kind of be able to help guide some users during the onboarding process. So this is kind of like a simple HR assistant agent. This agent over here, it'll pop up when you hit Rovo Chat, where it is an agent that I have access to, kind of in the list of all the agents available, that I can ask it a question such as, what is our vacation policy? And I've got pulled up the actual HR knowledge base space it's going to pull it from. I don't have to have this open for this to work, and this is obviously like a kind of smaller example, but in the real example of this, you'd have however long your employee handbook and many other documentation pieces, and potentially even Jira projects tracking the progress of vacation requests and wanting to kind of have the insight on top of that. I'm going to get a response from the chat. This is where your HR team maybe is small, or maybe they just don't have the time to handle a lot of employees asking questions about policies that they could go and find in the knowledge base. This can help those employees find that information quickly in the knowledge base, and it's a good way to do that. But what if we want to take it, like Tansu was talking about, from just getting information to actually taking action? How do we go one step further? This is actually something that in our internal training that we've done around Rovo came up as a use case that was potentially very important for our internal team, which is, let's go one step further. Imagine we have a service management project for our vacation requests. And what if I want an HR assistant? This is an HR assistant V2 that can't just, or it doesn't just give me answers to questions, but also takes action on my behalf to create, let's say, a vacation request for me. So what if I say, you know, can you help me create a vacation request? And go ahead and see what it does with that. So in this scenario, now I was going to say, of course, can you provide the start and end dates? So let's say I want to do, you know, July 25th to July 28th. It's going to take those dates, create a start and end date, and it will give me a little pop-up here once it has kind of like decided what it wants to do with that, to confirm or decline basically those dates that I gave it. So I've got vacation end, vacation start. I can hit confirm. When I do hit confirm, what it's going to do is I've actually created this agent to then have a action that it can take behind the scenes to actually go and create that vacation request. So we should see that show up in a second here in my service management project, where I will now have a vacation request like I see right here from July 25th to July 28th. And it can be assigned to the right person, whatever you want to do there. Right now, it's just kind of a basic request, but nothing's stopping me from actually having even some logic in there to assign it to the correct person for the correct dates. If somebody's on vacation, send it to somebody else to like approve that request. You can do all of that kind of stuff behind the scenes here and build an agent that really does take action on top of the information that it has. So going one step further with Confluence, what if I actually want to be able to generate some value beyond just even like creating a project or creating like a, you know, an issue in a project or a work item or a service request? This is where we kind of went from the simple knowledge base, you know, taking some action on some information like vacation requests to, in this case, software development lifecycles. This is actually an application that was built in the kind of custom development framework that exists for Atlassian Cloud. It's called Forge. If you've not heard of that, no worries. It's basically how we build custom integrations for Atlassian Cloud. This is just a simple application here that's pulling up kind of an interface that we can use for Rovo. We have 3 different versions of this actually. The first one is one that is used by our sales team. This is actually to do research on a client that we're going to go into a conversation with. The second one is kind of like a manufacturing example we built for a customer who wanted to be able to do some market research around what, in this case, it's like a laptop, but let's say we want to build a new product and we want to do some market research on what already exists in this space around certain price points and how can we fit in that niche. But the one that's really going to be speaking to a lot of customers is something like software development lifecycle, where we have a lot of customers we're working with that want to, as part of their software development, have AI help the ideation process be sped up, or the process of creating new projects and kind of managing that work. So let's say I go in here, let's use this prompt that I've done before, which is a capacity management tool for software developers who are building a product in the financial technology space. So I'm just trying to think of an idea of what's a tool I could build. I'll hit submit, and what it's actually going to do is it's basically going to do some market research around what are the tools that maybe exist, what do they use as their tech stack, what tools exist out in the broader internet to understand how might we build a capacity management tool, what are the parts of a capacity management tool that we need to construct. And what it's actually going to do is create, I'll pull up the result here, it'll be loading in the background, but I've actually already got one generated. This document of basically all of the research it's done on what we could do to kind of implement that capacity management tool I'm asking it about. So it's giving me recommendations for the tech stack. It's giving me, call to action buttons and kind of all the different things I might want. I've actually got a lot of content here. So we actually have a second document that it will generate. That's usually kind of a shortened version of that. That is just here's the tech stack and here are some of the things to do for that. So we take all of the information we can possibly find, put it in that first document. And then this second one is kind of the shortened, here is a kind of just bulleted lists of all the things you need to know, user experience recommendations. So you can think through how a tool like this can be, for I'm starting to build a project and I want to use it for the ideation process and kind of get further along and accelerate that process. It could also be take a tool that's already built and ask it about that tool to go create test cases, to go build a testing plan for that feature that I just built. Really, we're just walking through the use case of we are using Rovo and using AI in combination with custom development framework of Forge and Atlassian Cloud and our knowledge base and Confluence. And we're using all of those things together to create this kind of market research tool, or this tool that can generate different reports or documents based off the information that it has. And then it's actually going to also be using this to go one step further. And it's also created a project that is populated with all of the tasks that would be needed in order to carry out that project. So let's say that the goal of this is actually to go from 0 to sitting in a meeting where we can plan out the project in the course of 5 minutes. So now we've actually given it a prompt for, hey, I want to go and build this capacity management tool. What I've ended up with is, although I need to go and maybe populate these dates exactly and move some things around and edit a couple things, I'm not going to have to create the project from scratch. I already have documentation around that project, and I can go in here and see I have all the tasks laid out as different tasks with subtasks and epics and tasks. Like, everything's laid out in the hierarchy that I've set. And now I can go through here and we could go into a planning meeting and get this whole project off the ground. So we've basically taken it from spending weeks doing that market research and then spending a couple hours at least building all the boilerplate of this different part of the task, and backlog management being a big part of the task that a lot of admins will be doing, kind of trying to figure out from the project management perspective how to decide what things will be worked on next. Well, let's let AI give us the boilerplate, give us the starting point, and then from there we can just be editing rather than trying to generate all this from scratch. So that's a great example of something that customers are using today as a way to accelerate their process. What do we want to do when this product is actually built, though? Going into service management a little bit more deeply, where we've built the product already, how do we handle use cases where customers might be having issues with that product? So going into kind of the more manufacturing example, let's just say we have a product that we've built called, it's a laptop that somebody is using now day to day, and we've built this product, we've used our research tools and kind of got to the point where now we're building this laptop, and the customer has it in their hands, but they're having an issue, so they go get help from us, and maybe the laptop is overheating. So the laptop is getting so hot that I cannot use it. And let's say they're going to submit that request saying, hey, this laptop is just overheating, I can't use it, it's getting really hot, how do I solve this, what's going on? So what I want to do now is go look at my actual queue. You'll notice I actually have a bunch of other requests in here that are similar, and that's on purpose. Once this refreshes here, we'll be able to see that request pop up. And what I want to do from the perspective of service management is be able to enable this user to ask this question and get as quick of a response as possible, while also alleviating some of the load for our service management team. So if I go ahead and open up this ticket, I know by looking at that queue that I have a lot of other customers having the same problem. So there's probably already a resolution out there for how to solve the laptop overheating problem. And I want to use that already defined and kind of already enacted solution, right? So let's say I've already decided that there's a way to handle an overheating laptop. What I've actually got behind the scenes here is an automation that's going to be running. It's going to take a little bit of time here to kind of search through everything, but it's going to be looking through all of the other requests in this project. It could also be looking through requests in other projects, or basically it could also be looking at Confluence as a knowledge base, saying, is there already resolution to this particular issue? And what it's going to do is leave me a comment on this issue that it'll say, here are the recommended next steps. So if I go, for example, and look at one of these other ones that's already loaded, just since it's kind of taken some time to run there in the background, it gives me a comment like this, where it says possible solution searcher. In this case, it's kind of an internal comment, so it's not a request participant, but this is for the actual agent, the human agent that's going to be kind of taking part in this conversation, where it's saying, for the current issue of laptop overheating, just ensure you have proper ventilation and clean the vents and fans. Consider using a cooling pad to prevent some overheating. So basically giving a solution that it actually found this solution from the other similar tickets. So it's going to give you a table of the top 5 similar tickets, and it's specifically going to be looking for any tickets that have been resolved. So we've actually got in Confluence and some other projects some resolved tickets that the resolution includes proper ventilation, and that's why it's giving it that response, is because we actually have a scenario where we're using that resolved ticket to, when I create a new one, give a comment on that ticket, giving me kind of some recommendations, and I could come back to that ticket, give a comment saying, hey, here's your response. And in this scenario that I showed earlier, of course, and it just showed up on this ticket, so I can go show that. It's not a direct request participant, so the user isn't going to see this that was requesting the help here, but I could go in, let's say, as an agent and reply to the customer and say, hey, you need some proper ventilation, and send that as a comment and go back to the actual person who requested this. Now, of course, I could actually make this a request participant. So another option here, this is where you kind of think through what's the best way for your service desk to work. For the customer we built this for originally, they wanted this to all be internal because their goal was to get more information in the human agent's hands. But let's say I don't really need this whole table and I just want to give it the response, and I just want this to be sent to the person requesting some help, and that can be sent to them directly. They'll see it, no human interaction necessary. I could totally do that as well. It just means changing a value basically in the automation, and it'll update the way that this works. So it just depends on how you want to utilize that. We've also got another tool in here, actually, another automation running, that when we comment on a ticket, so if I'm going through here and my description was kind of a little bit passive aggressive, and I'm going in through here, maybe I want to escalate certain tickets that have a bit more back and forth, or the resolution isn't happening, or maybe the customer seems more frustrated. You'll notice I have a label over here that says risk of escalation. This actually showed up because I have an automation also running. Whenever you leave a comment on a request here, and there's kind of back and forth, it is looking through for particular types of languages or tone that will indicate that this is potentially going to need to be escalated because the customer is getting more frustrated than is good to kind of continue that conversation with. And so as I kind of send comments back and forth, there are 3 different levels here. There's no risk, there's risk of escalation, and then there's issue escalated. So there's basically like 3 levels of escalation that it can hit based on the tone of those comments. So we're also using AI in that perspective to help us categorize different requests of maybe certain users are having more or less passive aggressive tone or whatever that might be, right? So obviously it's not going to be 100% perfect all the time, but what it does do is allow us to have a little bit of categorization of those requests as they're going forward and be able to manage that, make sure that we can get those escalated to the right level. I did want to just show you really quick, in case you were curious what it looks like to use automation with Rovo Agents. This is actually the similar issues commenter there. So like whenever you see that comment with all the similar issues, what does that actually look like in the automation screen? This is what that's going to look like. We actually have 3 different agents as part of this. We have one agent to find the similar issues, another one to rank them in that table, and then the final one is to actually provide the solution based off of that table. So we've actually gone through this process here where we do a step-by-step of using an agent for a task that particular agent is suited for, taking the response of that agent, passing it on to the next one, and this is all triggered by just creating a work item in this project. So whenever you make a request, it'll trigger this and go through this whole process. So we've got some more content, and you can always reach out if you want to kind of see some more about how we can start to build these things and some strategies around building the agents from like the technical level. But I just wanted to show you a little bit what that looks like in automation in case you've interacted with automations before and just be curious how that ties into it. So the tools that I just showed here are kind of a combination of automations with Rovo and with Forge as that development platform. So in the case of these service management examples, it's actually just automation and Rovo in the product initiation. So like going through these market analysis documents and everything like that. And actually also the HR service or HR assistant version 2. These are all using development framework of Forge to kind of add in some logic and be able to do a little bit more beyond the built-in screens that you have with Rovo. And that's going to be really powerful in the future, being able to basically expand upon the use cases to include whatever you can dream up essentially. So I've gone through some demos here. These are all things like Tansu said that are real in use, production ready tools that we've built for different customers. These are kind of like the demo versions of them, but these are actually deployed in customer environments, and we've seen a lot of benefits using them. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Tansu to keep the presentation going, but hopefully you see some useful things here and actually get some thoughts flowing of ideas of how to use Rovo in your organization.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. It's always great to see the power of Rovo in real real workflow in real life. Okay. Well, of course, with all that power comes a very important question. What is happening with our data? Security, privacy, and compliance are top of mind for every organization exploring AI, and rightly so. So, to take us through how Atlassian is handling this, both for Rovo and Atlassian Intelligence, I will hand it over to Grégory, who has been deep in this work. Grégory, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tansu. Yes, indeed, it's a topic that it comes first to mind, right? When you talk about AI, we've seen the questions coming from the field. They kind of shifted, actually, like you mentioned, Tansu. Like it was some kind of hype at the very beginning, but now people need to go back to the value proposition. But then the first thing that comes to mind is then security. Security, privacy, like what's the data flow like? Before I enable this feature on my cloud Atlassian, like what's the consequences? So what the message we want to provide is really the amount of investment we did in infrastructure and in the way we deploy AI to have really this adoption of AI with full confidence from the customer and be able to control that. So the 4 principles we try to put that in AI. So just next animation, Tansu, please. So yeah, so really a couple of technical examples we really apply all across our strategy. So first, to make sure people like really feel confidence doesn't go anywhere, zero detention, like 0-day retention thing. So whatever chat, whatever data you use in your chatting, in your agent stuff, we have a strict policies to have zero retention of the data. Some content is kind of kept on a very like GDPR compliant, like 30-day maximum, but the real data that you use is like zero retention. The most important thing, and it goes back to the question I saw earlier in the chat asking like, if can I put confidential information into that thing? So really understand the power of the AI of Atlassian with Rovo is also the teamwork graph, like Tansu mentioned before. This is really our intelligent data store. We put all the data from all your Atlassian apps inside that data store, and then you can complement with different connectors with different sources. But whatever you bring in, the original and even the live permission system that you have for those pages, for the Jira tickets, Jira issues, those are part of the teamwork graph. It means if I'm not allowed to see a conference page or a Jira ticket, it will never show up in my answers or in my agents, ever. Same thing for SharePoint. Even if that PowerPoint document connected to the teamwork graph changed permission 5 minutes ago, even if I just make a permission, like a requesting right now, this document with just a change permission in SharePoint is still not accessible to me, right? It's really a live system. So whatever confidential information you put in, it makes the teamwork graph smarter. It makes it understand better the way you work, but still users were not supposed to see that document, will never see this document. So we really have a strict policy on that. More broadly, on the overall compliances, we try to respect as many as possible, like in terms of compliances. We're a global company. We wish we could check the thousands of compliance that every single country, especially in Europe, have. But we still have the major ones, especially ISO 2701, SOC 2, and we're also part of the AI EU Act, meaning we collaborate with the EU institutions to make sure whatever we do in AI is in the guardrails of the European Union. We have data residency, finally, for all this. So all the data you share, like you put in that teamwork graph, still follows data residency that you choose when you apply in your plan of Jira and Confluence. You can easily, at some point, I think in Premium and Enterprise, you can pin to a specific country or region where you want the data in. We respect that for the whole AI, right? Next slide, please, Tansu. So how does it all work? In a nutshell, to make it simple, Atlassian is not an LLM provider. We didn't decide to do like Microsoft, Google, and others, and Meta. We didn't go into the business of creating an entire LLM, right? What we did is we spent some time working on teamwork graph to really put intelligence in the way we store data and the way we contextualize data, right? So right now, and I'll show a bit more in detail in a couple of slides later, really how it works and what do we use. Right now, the strength of Atlassian AI and Rovo is really about the teamwork graph. Whatever is about LLM, it means language stuff, like meaning understanding my requests and being able to formulate text back. Currently, we use external LLMs as providers, right? But the future of that AI, because people start questioning more and more that even that small part going outside my system gets included back. So we're working very hard to have actually Atlassian having open sources and very good LLM being hosted even next to your data. So the teamwork graph is inside your environment, your data is with you, and we even want the LLMs that we're going to use for your language system to be part of this too. So we're working hard on this. This is coming. It's not out yet. We're making tests for performance reasons, and also like the good LLM from OpenAI and others are very good right now in understanding text. The open source a bit less performance. So we're working hard to improve that so that we can see the balance of performance and confidentiality. But the next slide is for me like important also step for us to be part of the bigger system. So on the next slide, please, Tansu. So it's really about the MCP. So there's now a big trend because you have all those LLMs, because we don't expect customers to pick one LLM versus others, right? Why? Because it's like Tansu said, it's use case based. Maybe your developers will spend some time on GitHub with Copilot because maybe they lead the pack. But what about the time your developers spend on conference and Jira tickets? So you also need to bring some AI and LLM part in there. So all those LLMs will start to need to connect, and we participate to this. So Anthropic was one of the first to start working on the MCP protocol, which is really this very popular standard now to allow LLMs to talk to each other. And we announced very recently, we now open the Gateflow, this, meaning the teamwork graph or precious, beautiful data store system now can be accessible from other sources. And the first one we introduced is a collaboration with Anthropic. More are coming, but it means like in the next example, a quick video you can see, we're gonna see like you can now connect your Anthropic Cloud with the teamwork graph of Atlassian. It means all the knowledge of your Jira and conference nicely organized in the teamwork graph, you can bring that knowledge into your Cloud chat. So if you click once again, Tansu, I think there's an animation. So you can have like in your regular Cloud, ask for documentation, which is usually stored in your conference and your Jira projects. Cloud will go through it, finding the teamwork graph, like Tansu said, it's really the understanding of your organization and being able to tell you, yes, this app you're asking for is really part of this MVP project. And can you actually put in my Jira project, in my backlog, generate some issues that belong to these requirements and directly put them in my Jira tickets. So now your Cloud can actually influence, get information from teamwork graph, and actually put information back in your products directly from your chat. So we really want to make sure, we want to show the world about the powerfulness of the teamwork graph and being able to allow it to connect to different other systems you may be using, right? So the last slide will be a bit more technical, but really to understand you like what we want to do, like to really understand the whole flow. First point of this graph, maybe technical for 2 seconds, but first step, we don't open all your Jira and conference data to outside, right? Your Jira and conference data stays in your cloud environment. We store it in the teamwork graph, which is at the bottom left there. But this is your data that's the host and which is pinned in a residency you chose, right? But this is what happened when you make a request in AI, in like a basic system of AI, or in Rovo. So that request will go first into the teamwork graph. Let's say, for example, I ask, what is Project Apollo, right? That request goes into the teamwork graph, and teamwork graph will find the context of my request depending on me. It means if in my company, I've got 4 Project Apollo, the teamwork graph will find the actual pages of the Project Apollo I'm the closest to and I collaborate with. And that information, my request, plus the teamwork graph information, then on the right, this is what we use currently. We have external LLMs, currently OpenAI, and that request, only that request, is sent in a very secured way, one-to-one, like secured, encrypted, and with 0 retention policy. So we send that to OpenAI, generates the text, and the text comes back. That's it. Nothing is stored on either side, but then I got the power of an external LLM into my system. My system is still secured with my teamwork graph and my product separately. I just asked. That part on the right, as you can see now, we added a little note. This is the part when we're going to start giving customers options if they want to use an external LLM, or at some point, we're going to provide some option, like I mentioned before, to start having LLM hosted inside Atlassian, so we don't even need that external little connection outside, right? But right now, for the power of it, in terms of performance, we use the best of the best inside in the LLM outside. We still go with the MCP protocol, like we still open a teamwork graph securely to other systems, and more LLMs options will come in. So just the start of the journey, right now it's extremely efficient, but we want to bring even more security and privacy controls into the system. That's it for me. I hope it gives you a good understanding of way data works, like unblock some maybe preconception you have of data. This is still a very secure system. You can enable it with full residency and full security and privacy control. So more tools are coming. Just back to a question from the chat. People were asking, where can we check the consumption on Rovo? This is coming because we know it's a big question. Now it's free for all. More tools are coming. Stay tuned for more updates on the admin console to really be able to control this. Back to you, Tansu. Oh, you're muted still.
Thank you. Thanks for the heads up. Well, thank you so much, Greg. Security and trust are such critical pieces, especially with AI, and it is reassuring to see how Atlassian is addressing this so proactively. So we have seen the vision, the capabilities, and how teams are already using Rovo and Atlassian Intelligence today. But what does it take to move from excitement to execution? So in this final section, let's review what we have said today and talk about what strategic adoption really looks like and how you can turn all this AI potential into practical value for your teams. Let's take a moment to look at everything we have seen today. First, AI is no longer an emerging concept in Atlassian Cloud. It is fully embedded into how work gets done. But Atlassian didn't stop at dropping in AI features here and there. What makes their approach different is the teamwork graph. This isn't just a fancy graph, it's a map of your people, your work, and how everything connects. It brings meaning to content. That's what gives Rovo context. And that's what sets it apart from the other tools that simply generate answers. When you pair that context with Atlassian Intelligence, you enable individuals to move faster and teams to operate more smoothly. And now with Rovo Agents, you bring real automation into the picture. Not just suggestions, but execution. You have seen how these agents can be tailored to different departments, from HR to IT to marketing. Importantly, this isn't locked behind an enterprise paywall. Rovo is available across all cloud plans. So this potential is already within reach. But, and this is important, potential on its own doesn't deliver value. That comes from adoption, from rollout, from strategy. The teams that are getting the most out of Atlassian AI are the ones that treat this as a transformation, not a feature switch. So what does that strategy look like? Whether you are already on cloud or just starting to think about it, we meet you where you are. If you are still on data center, we have developed the Atlassian Cloud Transformation Solution, a structured, enterprise-ready roadmap that supports organizations through every phase of their journey to cloud. It is tailored for complex environments, and it goes far beyond the simple lift and shift. We start with a cloud transformation assessment. This is the foundation, helping organizations to evaluate where they are today, define the value of moving to cloud, and design a migration strategy that's not just technically sound, but also aligned with the business outcomes. And now, more than ever, that means preparing for AI readiness. Because moving to cloud isn't just about cost or performance. It is about unlocking the full potential of Atlassian Intelligence, Rovo Agents, and everything the platform now enables. The end goal isn't just to be on cloud. It is to be in a position to scale, automate, and transform the way your teams work with AI as a core enabler. And for those already in the cloud, the question becomes, how do we unlock more value with AI? That's where our AI ROI discovery comes in. It's an interactive engagement designed to be insightful, practical, and tailored to your team. We start with a discovery session to understand your challenges and goals. Then we follow up with a demo, completely customized to your maturity level, tools, and priorities. The outcome? You walk away with clear pain points identified, AI use cases mapped both inside and beyond the Atlassian ecosystem, a snapshot of your potential ROI, and most importantly, clear next steps, whether it's a Rovo bootcamp, a pilot, or a deeper consulting engagement. So whether you are starting from data center or already using cloud, we help you move with confidence and scale your AI adoption with purpose. All right, that was a lot of brain power packed into one session. We've explored bots, brains, and everything in between. Now it's your turn. If you have any questions about anything we've discussed from roadmap to use cases to security, now is the perfect time. Let's open it up for Q&A.
Yeah, I've been seeing some question actually on the chat while printing. I'm not sure. Sometimes maybe the answer didn't go through properly. So just gonna there's a couple of questions on the same topic, to be honest. Like the Rovo permission, like the way we can create agents. So just in a nutshell, like whatever Joshua showed, originally, like how do you access Rovo? It used to be a paid app, right? So we had the basic intelligence like Gen AI system across Jira and Confluence, but then we're starting like having a need for more with the search, the enterprise search, the chatbot, and the agent. So for some time, for 6 months, it was something that you had to purchase to a limited number of people to give them the features Rovo. So that was easy control because whoever had the license could create agents and everything. So that was easy. But now we decided to roll out Rovo to everyone. So it means anybody first on the premium and enterprise license plan, and now standard means pretty much everybody now. We're actually talking also for the free one, but the free, yeah, it's costs money, but it's fine, I guess for now. But now the idea is because Rovo will be on the platform, how do I control the access? The good news is now the agent creation system is joining the automation creation under one app that we call the Studio. So the Studio is you may not have seen it yet because it's part of the new navigation experience and all the new rollouts we're going to do soon. You can ask your admins in your org to kind of have a look at this, if you can turn it on, so you can start seeing the new systems with the home navigation, the goal, the projects, and Studio. But Studio is a new app where you're going to create those agents. And because it's going to be an app, you can restrict people accessing this app, just like you restrict Jira, just like you restrict Conference with users and groups. So you're going to be able to easily copy paste all the stuff you did to give access to your apps to the Studio app. So it's going to be very easy for you to control who can create those apps directly with a regular app control system. So that's, I think, a very nice way for us to smooth a bit the administration and to copy paste a bit what we've been doing for years with users and groups and replicate that to the features of goals, projects, home, and Studio. And the other question was a bit about yeah, by the way, a quick announcement of that. If you don't have admins activating this so far, we're actually rolling that globally, those features in July. So very soon, get ready to see some kind of new navigations and like being part of all this Rovo powerful system you can get. So maybe I've got a question for you, Joshua. Can agent creation include a validation workflow for enterprise orgs? This is
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. It's actually a question that pretty much always comes up whenever we build solutions like the ones I just walked through with the enterprise customer, it's always how do we, take a step in the process to validate has the response actually been adequate. So like, I don't want to generate, let's say, all the tasks on that project in the initialization flow until I know that the task it's going to generate will actually be useful. So what we've done for customers in those use cases is what we do is kind of combined with the views that we can build in like the Forge platform or just in like the issue or like work item workflows. We can build a view that shows up that you run kind of through the automation process, and it populates that view with here's what we're going to create, and then you can kind of confirm or deny or make changes. So when we have use cases that kind of need that level of validation, that's what we do there. Or maybe what we do is we populate that document in like the Confluence page with all the market research in it, but we don't actually go and create the project with all the issues and stories in it until we hit a button on that document for an automation that's like on the Confluence document, and then that goes and creates it. So rather than having like a validation screen, we just, rather than automatically going from step to step, have a button you can hit when you're ready to move to that next step. So kind of some different ways to approach it, but validation is always an important part of the process, talking about using AI kind of in the enterprise use case, and definitely a thing that we can solve for.
No, that's a good point, because I mean, and this is what we wanted to do. Like on the first place, we had a Rovo, and people kind of had to create automations around it. With the studio now, we really wanted to bring agents and automations all together. So now it's extremely easy to start, like for example, an example I have, like me, because I've got a lot of conference pages to read and everything. I just ask an agent to give me the top 10 pages every week I should have read and I haven't read yet, and to send me a Slack on Monday morning. So I've got a trigger on Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then a Rovo agent gets in, scan the document I should have read, and send me on Slack the links I should have read, and give me a reminder of this. So see, it's the way like how I can find a use case for me, but also to make it in the way it works for me. So this is the kind of useful to bring the two together. There's a quick question about cloud integration and the MCP. Easiest way, and I've tested that with a customer actually, go to your favorite search engine, just search for Atlassian MCP, and the first page you're going to find in your browser is the blog post we did on the community, and there's all the instructions at the end to connect, and I can prove that from the field. A customer did that live in front of me. 10 minutes later, they had their cloud connected to the thing. Technically, we basically host in Cloudflare the MCP server, but yeah, it's basically connecting your IP or stuff like that to your TMR graph, and that's it. So very easy procedure to connect your cloud directly there. But check Atlassian MCP in your browser, and there is a page in the community. I'm checking the other questions. Is there an early view of what team and individual productivity improvement look like with Rovo, and what effective metrics can be used to measure? Yes, we've had Rovo and AI more broadly 6 months in the field. So we actually had some surveys done in key customers to kind of an idea. But this is us surveying customers, and sometimes tricky to measure. Like if you ask the question of people, how much time did you save this week? Always a bit subjective. But what we're going to release soon is really a set of tools to measure the usage, like who's using it, and then to be able to link. We have a customer who's smartly having a look at how many people using Rovo agents and actually the flow cycle of the Jira projects and how fast they release or how much time they spend on conference, like those kind of things based on how people use Rovo. So we can start thinking of some metrics to map the two. More is coming with the admin console. We know people are asking for it dramatically. Like we need tools to measure Rovo usage. Now it's free, so let's enjoy it, but let's make sure there's not any abuse or frustration or people who want to use it, but for whatever reason, there's a credit system coming in. So let's make sure we have full visibility, so tools are coming. But metrics, yeah, we have some ideas. Actually, maybe Tansu, you maybe have from the field, like what do you feel people are more interested in, like productivity-wise? Is it time spent on search? Because usually this is the one we see a lot. But yeah, what are the KPIs you start seeing on the field?
Yeah, exactly. And Josh also can answer this, but when we do the AI ROI calculation and the workshops, then we also identify like how you can just get better value from the AI and how much you can save by using AI. And one key metric is we always see this is like how much time you save by just saving from searching, right? Um, well, Confluence is great, but sometimes, just sometimes, it might be really hard to find what you are looking for in Confluence by using the traditional methods, right? I think we have been all there, and with Rovo, this can save us quite a lot of time, and not just one person, but if we just expand this to whole organization, then that's a huge saving in terms of time. And again, this might be a little bit subjective, but even just saving 5 minutes per day per user, and if you multiply this with 1,000 users and work week, the saving is just huge. So that's usually what we see as like a quick win with Rovo. And this can just go further when we automate the things with the agents and make agents work for you, and then you can just save more time. And then again, this can be a ticket creation. That's something we also take into account. And another important part or another important savings that we have seen is, for instance, the JQueries. So we had this case with one of the customers. The admins were complaining about, yes, every month we had to spend like, or every week, sorry, we had to spend like half an hour with users to explain how to change a specific JQuery so that they can just get their reports. But with AI, now you can just do with the natural language search, and then this helps save time, especially for the admins, but also for the users.
Yeah, so there's a lot coming, and I think the more we're gonna, and that was the point of having Rovo for All, right? We want to unleash the creativity of people and find those use cases without having to buy a product. So having Rovo available to all, I think we're going to see a lot of new use cases coming in, like something even we don't think about. I think we reach more than 1,600 agents in Atlassian now internally, which is nuts. But yeah, so more things are coming. We're getting out of time. There's one last question, maybe if we can do it very quickly. It's a 2-in-1. We are able to integrate Rovo with Outlook. It is possible for Rovo to notify customers when a user is on annual leave, looking at Outlook calendar. Yeah, maybe there's a use case here, but maybe it's about configuring like Outlook in a specific way. But something can be done. Yeah, we see a lot of benefit having people having Outlook in the teamwork graph, because now you can get information from your conversations inside the team graph. And yes, you can have an SQL database connected to Rovo. It's not a connector we do, because basically your database is a specific add-on system. But with API system, we can actually have teamwork graph being fed from other sources from yours. So you can develop your own connector to connect to your own sources of information, whatever shape it is, as long as the shape is kind of nicely organized. But yeah. All right, I think we're out of time now. This is a lot of questions. Very good.
Yeah, thank you very much, Greg and Josh, and thank you so much, everyone, for spending your time with us today, especially in the middle of this summer heat. So we hope you are walking away with not just inspiration, but like real clarity on how Rovo and Atlassian Intelligence can help your teams. And if you are not on the cloud yet, now it's the time to build your roadmap. If you are, then let's find those quick wins and long-term opportunities together. Feel free to reach us out. And until next time, stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay curious. Have a great day, everyone.